I want to go back to a couple of different things that have been shared, and I won't necessarily say it's challenging your position on it, but I want to get your thoughts and perspective on it.
Mhm.
So, a couple of things that have been mentioned. One was what's reasonable and the expectation. I believe Chris mentioned that. Another thing that's kind of a word that I put was entitlement. What am I entitled to from a needs, wants, and expectation standpoint? So that's another piece. And then the last piece of the puzzle that I want to throw in is to say uh, authenticity or being authentic. And that's primarily being authentic for yourself or to yourself, right? So, meaning I have a right to stand on what it is I feel I want, need, and respect, whether it's something that's reasonable for you or not, right? Because that's authentically me, right? So just using that as the position to take. So, Erica, I'll start with you. With those thoughts in mind, how would you approach that? What would be your conversation, or how would you share that with someone to say, authentically, this is who I am, this is what I want, need, and respect? I'm not bringing it from an entitlement standpoint, I don't think. Um, but is it reasonable for you? Maybe, maybe not. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think for me, I think first finding out who I am, what do I enjoy, what do I value, what do I like, who am I? I think first you have to ask who you are and the things that you just naturally enjoy. What do you want your life to look like? What do you envision for your life at the phase that you're in? As a woman, we have different phases. I'm sure men do too. But definitely from my experience as a woman, when you're a teenage girl, you envision one thing, and then when you're in your 20s and 30s, definitely 40s and 50s, there are other ways that you envision your life. So really, you have to envision who you are and where you want to be, and then from there, you can decide what those wants are based on who you authentically um, are at that time. Um, just really going backwards because you asked first about the reasonable expectations. Going back to who you are authentically are, once you get to know yourself a little bit better, then you can go into okay, what are my wants and what are my needs from there. And then you go and you look at your circle and say reasonable expectations. Well, what I've learned now, and I'm very proud to say, I'm in that. What did you say? I'm not a golfer. Is you said, Chris, you the back nine?
Back
Back
nine.
then.
That's what I am too. So now I can. I'm proud to say that I'm in that stage of life, and I've learned that I suggest that you let people be who they are and you accept them as they are. And people can give you only so much emotion, only so much time as they have. And don't put pressure on people to be more than they are. Just love them as they are. Now, what does that mean? Love them as they are. That doesn't mean you let them treat you any old kind of way. That doesn't mean that they get to be inconsistent or say they're gonna do one thing and then they don't. If that's who they are, accept that's who they are, and you properly allow them to be in that space in your life where a person like that belongs,
Mhm.
wherever that is, right? But reasonable expectations means, in my opinion, reasonable expectations means that you allow people the space to show you who they are, and then you decide based upon your authentic self
Mhm.
where they belong. But
Okay.
you don't put them into any other kind of pressure because once you do, what you're trying to make a duck into a pigeon. Let a duck be a duck, let a pigeon be a pigeon, let a turtle be a turtle, let a whale be a whale. And then, regardless of what animal it is, you're together because you're happy. The goal is love yourself, be graceful to yourself, enjoy life. We're only here for a limited amount of time. And then you get to spend eternity either in heaven or hell, one or the other. But on this earth, you only have so much time. Enjoy your life. And if you're around people for whatever they grumpy, they got all this, blah, 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 let them do them where they are. And then
Absolutely.
in your life, you decide where does a grumpy negative person belong, right?
Right.
But you'll be happy. Because at the end of the day, unless you're a twin or triplet or something, you come into the world. And even then, they don't come out at the same time. Triplets don't come out all at once. They come out one at a time. So, we all came out individually. So
That's
you have
absolutely
to
right.
decide authentically what makes you happy and then go from there. As far
Okay.
as reasonable expectations, a reasonable expectation is let a duck be a duck, let a goose be a goose, let a pigeon be a pigeon, let a chicken be a chicken.
Yeah. Agreed.